All right. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. How did Ja Morant do in his return to the NBA? What is going on with Lamar Jackson? How important is the World Baseball Classic to you? Let's go ahead and talk about it here on the DNA Sports Recap. How's it going, AJ?
Doing good, man. Doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's been a good week so far.
It's been pretty good.
It's been pretty good. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about sports.
Where you want to start? Basketball?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
NBA?
Yeah, let's start there. Let's first talk about let's talk about the elephant in the room, or the not so much of an elephant in the room. Let's talk about Ja Morant. He made his infamous return to the NBA last night, came off the bench, scoring 17 points, 5 assists after an 8-game suspension. Gone from the team 9 games.
Away from the team 9 games.
Yeah.
So Memphis goes 9-3, or I'm sorry, 6-3 during the stretch of those 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little surprised by that. For Ja Morant to be away from the team, I guess I was totally expecting a coordinated collapse from this Memphis Grizzlies team. You know what I mean? Like I didn't expect them to just fully fall apart, but I didn't expect them to keep it together to win 6 games out of 9.
No, but they have had a history of playing well when Ja Morant's out. He's been out last year a few times, and he due to injury and stuff like that, and they've always performed well. So I mean,
so you weren't so surprised?
Not this time to see them play well. I thought it would have been closer to more to 500 ball than 6-3. But it doesn't surprise me because they've played well without him in the past.
Yeah, so. I mean, and they had a pretty big contributor. Tyus Jones steps up. He averages 16 points, 8 assists while shooting 50% from the floor and 40% from 3. Wow. I mean, he came out and balled, man. So, and he's kind of one of those fringe, off the bench kind of starting players. So he definitely stepped up, and I'm sure, that contribution definitely helped the Grizzlies through that stretch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I don't think the time away has hurt him at all. We won't get into the reason for the suspension or anything like that. That's not really...
Previous video, check it out.
Yeah, it's just not really our demographic, I don't think. I think you guys have probably seen a bunch of YouTube or listened to a bunch of podcasts that talked about it ad nauseum, so we'll let that go. He's a 22-year-old kid, made some mistakes, and hopefully he cleans it up before it ruins his life, so.
Yeah, he's got every opportunity to be one of the faces of the NBA moving forward.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully he learns his lesson and gets to move forward.
Yeah, it's a big deal. He's probably the best American-born player in the league right now, which
absolutely.
There's a good chance that you want to present a good impression going forward. Yep. Anyway. So moving right along. So congrats, Ja Morant. Congrats, Grizzlies. We'll see.
Did they win last night? I didn't see.
I believe so. I believe they won. They played Houston, so my guess is they did. So
they most likely won.
I don't really see that being a problem. They're at home against Houston, so I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say yes.
Perfect.
So also, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama. He is still growing. So,
no way, dude.
Yes, according to ESPN, ESPN's Brian Windhorst and Jonathan Giovanni, Victor Wembanyama is now measuring 7 foot 5 inches, which is a 2-inch growth from the last time they measured him. That is in shoes, by the way. They do measure you with shoes on.
Did you see that his wingspan is also now 8 foot from the 7'9" that it was previously?
That's 3 inches, man.
3 inches of wingspan, 2 inches of height. I don't know. Do you think this guy can stay healthy in the NBA? He's done okay in the highest league in France. Do you think he's going to be able to stay healthy playing an 82-game season?
Yeah, I think he has. I think he has a better shot than Yao Ming did. I think he has a better shot than Chet. What's his name?
Yeah,
Chet Holmgren. They got hurt
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got the best shot of a guy his size in a very long time.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant also is no slouch to this. He was 6'10" when he entered the league and ended up growing to be
7'1" now.
7'1".
Yeah.
So, it's not unheard of, but it is crazy to think that this kid is still growing. Still young, still could grow
19.
more. Yeah,
just barely turned 19. Man.
Yeah, in the 21 games, he's averaging 22.2 points, 9.5 rebounds, 3.1 blocks, and 2.3 assists per game.
So, fun fact though, the largest wingspan in NBA history, Manute Bol, 8'6".
No way.
Could you imagine even bigger? Like this dude's massive. Manute Bol, 8'6".
Oh, have you seen a picture of him in a pool? Looks like Slender Man, dude. It's insane. It looks like someone drowned Slender Man. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, other NBA news. I mean, ever since Kendrick Perkins talked all that craziness about the MVP being racially charged, saying that the only players that have gotten the MVP that were in the top 10 in scoring since 1990 have been white players. Ever since then, the narrative has kind of shifted to now people aren't really thinking Jokic is going to be the MVP, which, the man's a triple-double machine on the best team in the league still. I don't know how you argue with that, but they're basically saying that since they're 2-4 in their last 6, and they're kind of at risk of losing the 1 seed to the Sacramento Kings of all teams. But it's just weird to say that. I know they've been good all year. It's just weird to say that since I've been out of high school, the Sacramento Kings are good. So it's just been so...
2006 was the last time they made the playoffs. So.
So it's just been... It's been weird. But anyway, I don't know. What's your take on it? I mean, do you think... they're saying now Embiid is probably the favorite. What's your...
So my take is you take Joel Embiid off the 76ers. They still have a previous MVP candidate in James Harden. He didn't actually win it, but he was a candidate.
I think he's won one.
Did he win one?
I think he won one. I mean, that's how much we care about James Harden around here.
Yeah.
Almost as much about Carolina Panthers football.
Our apologies.
We'll get to that later.
But so I mean, but you still have James Harden on that team.
Yep.
You still have Tobias Harris. You
And
still have George Niang.
Of course, George Niang.
You still have good pieces. That's still a serviceable team for the 76ers. Are they as good as they are now? Probably not, but they're not the worst team in the league by any means. On the other hand, you take the Denver Nuggets, when your next best player is Jamal Murray, a mediocre at best Jamal Murray that's shining moment was against the Utah Jazz and Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs. That team's at the bottom of the West. They're in the Wembanyama race.
Do you really think that fall?
I think, absolutely.
Yeah, see, I don't disagree, though. I do think they would take a pretty sharp fall. By the way, yes, he did win it in 2017-2018 season. He had the MVP season and scoring title that year.
Nice.
That's back when you had to literally not touch him or they would call a foul.
Before they changed the rules.
Yeah, I don't blame James Harden for manipulating the system. I blame the system for allowing James Harden to be created.
Yeah.
I think the NBA just vastly overvalued scoring, ISO scoring.
I think it's funny though because since they changed the rules, James Harden's not nearly as effective of a player.
I think that too, and I also think it has a lot to do with his physicality. Like I think now that he's older, he can't bounce back from in shape to out of shape as easy.
Yeah.
I just think he's not dedicated enough in the gym to really kind of swing back like that.
No.
When you're in your early 20s, you can easily do that, but later on, it's not as easy. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I agree with you. I think he's still Jokic is still the front runner for the MVP. It's really funny when you think about the Kendrick Perkins thing, where you talked about that. You know why he chose 1990?
Why?
Because the year before that, 1989, was the last time somebody who wasn't white was not in the top 10 in scoring that won the MVP, and that was Magic Johnson. So
convenient.
Yeah, convenient. So anyway, but moving on from that, any other NBA news?
That's all I got, man.
Yeah? All right. Cool. So as far as the NBA, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, what do you expect from Utah coming down the stretch?
I think the Jazz are trying their best to lose, but they're really failing terribly at it.
I think the ownership's trying to lose, but I think management's trying to win. I mean, sorry, reverse that. I think management's trying to lose, but the team's trying to win.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty obvious. They're like, well, we're just gonna Markkanen's going to have some injuries. Clarkson's going to have some injuries. Sexton,
People
we're going
are
to
gonna be
sideline
hurt.
him.
Yeah.
But, you guys just go out there and just do your best.
Just give
They're like, we're going to give it our all.
Yeah, they do.
Chris Jones like, I'm trying to earn an NBA contract, man. I'm going.
Yeah. Well, with the loss to the now before yesterday, the Jazz were actually only 1.5 games out of the 6th seed, which is not a play-in game, which would net them now it would be the 3 spot, right? They'd play the 3, so that would
Correct.
actually be the Sacramento Kings. I still think the Jazz measure up well against the Sacramento Kings because the Jazz just beat them at home, short
With a very depleted
with
team.
a very depleted team.
Yeah.
So, if we could get up to that 6th spot, I think that'd be fantastic. But with that loss to the Portland Trailblazers, we are now on the outside looking in. We're a game out of the play-in. So
It's so close. It's so close. Make sure you guys tune in. This NBA season's going to finish crazy.
yeah, 10 games left. The Jazz have not Minnesota. We have Milwaukee coming in next tomorrow night, and of course, Joe Ingles.
Oh, the return of Joe?
Return of Joe.
Oh,
this
man,
will be
I
the
wanna
first
go.
time. This will be the first time he's actually been in the visitors' locker room since he played with the Clippers
I want to get
before.
tickets.
So he was on DJ and PK in the morning and did his normal morning show.
Yeah.
And he had his old intro and everything, so it was pretty cool. He's doing great, looking forward to him coming back and playing just as well as he did before when he was a Jazz man. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. So we've got a lot of movement that could potentially happen in the West. Minnesota's the Timberwolves are in the 7th seed. OKC somehow is in the play-in. They're a game ahead of Utah. So basically, the Oklahoma City Thunder, Dallas Mavericks, and the Lakers are all tied for spots 8 through 10 in the play-in. So only one team has a better record than those 3, which is Minnesota. So it's still pretty wide open.
It's crazy that Minnesota's still in the play-in.
Yeah, Minnesota, if they win one game and the Clippers lose one game, they're in the top 6. So the
Jeez.
West is still wide open. There's
Yeah.
still a puncher's chance. I mean, the Utah Jazz just have to win 5 games to maintain. That's what they're saying. They win 5 of the next 10, and they're in. That's what a lot of people are saying. But there's a lot of tough teams out there for Utah.
Well, they have the number 1 hardest schedule to finish the season off with.
Yeah, they were hoping. I was listening to the radio, and one person thought that what's his name? That the Milwaukee was on a back-to-back, hopefully, but they're not. But we'll see. Anyway, it'll be fun. So, Joe Ingles, not that you're ever going to watch this, but we love you, man.
We love you. Definitely.
Yeah. the guy we traded for just so Dante Exum would have a buddy. And he ended up being, endearing himself to.
Yep, exactly.
If you ever want a future in coaching, you know exactly where you can go for sure. All right, so let's move right along to the NFL. Do you want to talk about the NFL?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk NFL. As of today, recording this, which is Thursday, the 23rd, we still don't have an Aaron Rodgers deal. We still don't have that trade finalized.
Right.
So now you're actually starting to see they did make a trade today. The Jets did make a trade, which brought back some draft capital. So that's probably what that's probably why they made that trade.
Start maneuvering to give more for the Rodgers trade.
Yeah, so I think that's probably what's going on there. So a little correction that we need to make. We said in a previous episode how neither one of us knew who DJ Moore is, and we just completely overlooked the player. He's obviously the reason why they made the trade. They traded the number 1 overall pick because he is averaging 1,000 yards every season. Oh, so JT2187, thank you for your comments to fact check us there and make sure that we're staying on top of it. Because yes, he is on an average 1,000 yards rushing.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good looking out. Keep us honest there. Back to the NFL news and stuff like that. Have you heard about Lamar Jackson and what's going on with his franchise tag?
I have heard that there's rumblings of other teams kind of getting interested in him.
Mm-hmm. So right now, the only team who's really expressed any actual interest publicly is the Colts. They have expressed some interest in signing him. However, it's not in their best interest to do so because they're more likely to pick a quarterback in the draft. They have I believe they have the 4th overall pick in the draft this year, so they could easily just pick a quarterback. But it's actually a little bit deeper than that. There might be a conspiracy against Lamar Jackson. Damari Smith, the president of the Professional Football Players Association, has basically called out the NFL and saying the owners are colluding against Lamar Jackson. He thinks that they are, working together to not offer him a contract. He says that, here I quote, "Never witnessed teams being so quick to publicly lack interest in an MVP quarterback who is in his prime and who is going to get an injury guarantee regardless of his contract."
Yeah, somebody's going to pay that man.
I don't know. I mean, do you think that there is some collusion behind there as far as the teams kind of getting together and the owners saying, look, we don't want this Deshaun Watson contract to be setting the market?
And he's the one that had the fully guaranteed contract. Right?
Yes, 5 years, $230 million, I think, guaranteed. 100%, because there's actually two ways they guarantee. There's guaranteed, complete guaranteed, and it's NFL contracts confuse me. But yeah.
JT2187, we're looking for you, man.
Yeah, throw it down in the comments down below. There's two separate ways contracts are guaranteed. There's 100% guaranteed at the end of the contract versus, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, so as far as that goes, the the Deshaun Watson one is $230 million guaranteed over 5 years. I think the owners, I don't think that there's a collusion there. I think the owners all just simply don't want to have that be the new norm.
Right, that everyone's getting max guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, for Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's only won one playoff game. If you haven't really gotten close to a Super Bowl or even to a championship game when you're on your rookie scale contract, guess what? When you pay that man, now you can't pay the rest of your team.
Yeah.
You can't build around him anymore. So when you have the quarterback on a rookie scale contract, you can afford to put talent around him. And if he can't really get the job done, while he's on that rookie scale contract, like a Patrick Mahomes, then now you're going to give him the bag, and now you have nothing to surround him with. You're going to have to get lucky in the draft.
I think the biggest issue is, man, is like somebody's going to pay that man. You know what I mean? Like if you don't want to, and you don't, I understand the caps and all that kind of stuff, but like if you don't want to, somebody is going to pay him a crazy amount of money to come be a quarterback for them.
Yeah,
he's that good.
He is that good, but there's nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody. I mean, the Colts have expressed some interest, but even then, they don't necessarily have to offer him if the quarterback in the draft falls where they want.
Absolutely.
I think they'd go after a bridge quarterback more than anything.
Yeah.
So while they've actually come out on record stating that they aren't necessarily not in Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, I think this is just was perfect positioning by the Baltimore Ravens being like, look, you think you're going to be able to get a 100% guaranteed contract? Go get it.
Yeah.
And you, just like you said last episode, they will match it. Because they can't.
Exactly, and that was the reason for the partial,
yeah,
for the franchise tag.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. So another one of the quarterbacks that could be picked up by the Colts as a bridge quarterback, Cam Newton. Cam Newton is set to throw in Auburn's Pro Day. So what are your feelings about that?
I think Cam Newton was a great player. When he came into the league, he was electric. He was all over the place. He was running the football. He was running people over. But, kind of like we talked, dude's on the wrong side of 30. I'm not sure I believe that he could go out there and win a starting job for any quarter, like over some of these young guns that can not only run the football, but sling it down the field 60 yards on the dot. Even like a Bryce Young from Alabama. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like kids coming out into the draft, he can do it all.
Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing there. And there's plenty of other options out there.
Yeah.
Other than, I'm sorry, Cam Newton, before you get to Cam Newton, I mean, there's still even rumors about potentially Tom Brady's going to get bored in a month or two, not enjoy the bachelor life and be willing to play somewhere, avoid camp, or preseason and be like, okay, guys, so I don't know.
Ready to play football.
Yeah. I think Cam Newton does deserve a shot at the NFL. I believe he can make a roster. He was on record saying that he doesn't believe that there's 36 quarterbacks in this league that's better than he is. And he may be right. But on the air of caution, even at league minimum, I don't think anybody's going to take the roster spot.
I think that's the big thing is it's not about being better than he is currently, but it's about giving some of these guys, if you're on a team that you're working about rebuilding, you don't want to put Cam Newton in there to try to win now. The problem is he better than the 10 or 15 teams that really have a playoff shot?
Yeah, is he wanting to compete for the...
Exactly. Is he willing to compete for those 10 or 15 teams that have legit quarterbacks? Is he better than those guys?
No, he's not.
Exactly.
And does he want to be on a roster?
where he's a backup at
Or
best.
he's a backup.
Yeah.
Or I think his options right now is to be a starter on a team that basically has no hope.
Yep.
Or two, be a backup to a backup. To be honest with you, to be completely frank,
on a decent team.
yeah. I mean, let's talk about the Jets. You got Zach Wilson, who's going to be backing up Aaron Rodgers eventually, right? Maybe you throw something towards Cam Newton. If it looks like either one of those aren't going to be ready on opening day, that might be something that may come his way. But I don't really see him really getting a starting job anywhere in the NFL right now.
Right.
Best of luck, Cam Newton. I hope you.
I think he's a great player. I mean,
yeah.
I actually like him. He does a lot of cool stuff, especially on social media. You see him do a lot of stuff with kids, and
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
I like him as a player. He seems like a pretty good person, but I don't believe that he has what it takes to beat out the top 10, 15 quarterbacks, and they're actually going to be competing.
Yeah, and the other 20, yeah, he may be better than them, but is he willing to take the role that's necessary to, kind of a prove it kind of year?
And I think the problem with those is on those teams are looking to develop quarterbacks. You know what I mean? They want guys to go get playing experience.
Right.
They're not necessarily looking to, hey, Cam, why don't you come throw for us? We're trying to win now. No, that's not what they're doing.
Yeah. Developing quarterbacks are going to basically, let them make mistakes in the field,
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to agree, but anyway, some interesting stuff going on, some decent trades going on in the NFL right now, but really those were kind of the stories that stood out to me. You got anything else on the NFL?
The Jets add Kansas City wide receiver Mecole Hardman.
Okay.
Obviously another target for Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
They also add Alan Lazard, the former Packer.
Right.
So you can tell they're definitely tooling that roster and tailoring it specifically to Mr. Aaron Rodgers, which...
Yeah, it's really funny that they could hold out on this until possibly midway through the draft in April.
Yeah.
Before they actually make the move, because, I don't know, the Jets feel like they're just going to dig their heels in and say this is the draft capital we're willing to offer.
Yeah.
And, take it or leave it kind of thing there. And Aaron Rodgers, he's cool either way. Either A, he makes $61 million a year playing the Packers, or, sit on the bench for, let Jordan Love go for it. Go for it, kid. I'm making $61 million just sitting here. So, he's good either way. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And then also Bobby Wagner, former Utah State player, is currently still a free agent. So is Odell Beckham Jr. So kind of some big names that are still free agents floating around there.
Yes, I believe that you won't see Odell Beckham Jr. sign until this, till the Rodgers thing.
He wants to see some of the quarterbacks where they land after the draft, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think wherever Rodgers lands, that's going to set the landscape for where he wants to be based off. I don't necessarily think he's going to go to the Jets, but I do think that kind of sets where he wants to be, in competition-wise. Yeah. Which division is going to be the easiest for him to succeed in, who's got, the best option to throw to him.
OBJ's such a good receiver, dude.
Yeah, again, just another guy whose his personality gets in the way.
Yeah, and it's the off-the-field stuff you have to deal with.
Yeah, and sometimes even on the sideline.
Solid point.
All right. Anything else on the NFL?
That's all I got, man.
All right. So spring ball for college football happened in the Pac-12.
Started.
Yeah, spring ball started for the University of Utah. They had a couple practices already.
Yep.
No contacts with pads yet, but just, kind of running through the reps.
Man, I'm so excited.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see.
Wait to get some Utah Utes content out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that ends up, but still more to be there.
Spring game. Spring game, 4/22 is the date. And they changed it to the 22 Forever game is what it's called now.
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw the article on that. Yeah. That's awesome. So, that'd be fun. We definitely should, and actually record video of us in the shot, which would be nice.
Get some content we could use.
Yeah. Instead of a bunch of photos for Instagram. All right. Anyway, anything on that before we move on to baseball?
Nope. Let's go to baseball.
All right. Let's talk about the World Baseball Classic. So, takeaways from the World Baseball Classic. What do you got?
I have not watched. I've watched the clips of some of these games. Okay. And I found myself so vested in this finals game, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but I'm telling you, I wanted USA to win, and it was painful to watch this Japanese pitching staff just eat up these USA hitters.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of the problem that we had, the talent that we had on the field wasn't necessarily the best representation of what USA could bring. Yes, we had a stacked roster. We had Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner. By the way, how good was Trey Turner in this tournament? 5 home runs.
5 home runs in 6 games, dude.
Insane. Schwarber doing Schwarber things. You ever want an interesting story for a career so far? Kyle Schwarber. Look him up.
Yeah.
It's insane. What he did for the Cubs, tore his knee, got back for the playoffs, got in there, hit a home run, helped the team win the game. Just fantastic guy, fantastic player. Anyway, the team was stacked, right? The only problem is we had no pitching, man.
Yeah.
Like our out of the top 30 MLB pitchers that are American-born players that could have played for Team USA, only one of them showed up, and that was Lance Lynn. Only one. And the other players that were there were also told to keep their pitch count low. And the other thing is that the Major League Baseball teams that will release their players to play for the World Baseball Classic made certain circumstances saying, okay, if you get our player warmed up, you have to use him. If he's getting warmed up in the bullpen, he has to go in. Because statistically it shows if you get up multiple times to warm up and you sit down and you get up and warm up, you're more prone to injury. So a lot of the players for Team USA were told not to try hard and not to be used effectively, and also encouraged not to play at all. So, yeah, the fact that we actually got to the final game, we were only down 1 run.
Yeah.
In the championship game, by that alone is a huge accomplishment, just simply because of all the hurdles that our league, the Major League Baseball, puts in the way of these players.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, if you're paying attention to any of this tournament, of how important it was, there's a record viewing of over 4.97 million viewers on that game for the World Baseball Classic, only third behind The Voice and FBI on CBS. Had higher ratings than the World Baseball Classic, which even a friendly exhibition game between Korea and Japan was watched by over 50 million people in Japan.
No way, dude.
On this championship game, it was 93% of TVs were on the World Baseball Championship game in Japan. So, it's a world game. I mean, obviously Japan won the game, right? But it really, I think baseball won in the long run, because we were able to see how important this tournament was.
It was cool to see.
Yeah.
For sure. It was cool to see the effort the other teams, that other countries, I mean, we'd kind of talked about it, but they bring every one of their best players to this tournament, and they're like, we're going to win this thing. That's our goal, is to win this thing.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad that you could tell that's not what the USA team was there for.
Right.
They were there to win it purely based on talent alone. This is our sport. This is our game. We've got the best players in the world. We've got this. Right. You know what I mean? And the problem is, we might have the best players in the world, but they weren't there at the game.
No, they weren't there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think baseball is one of the few sports where the international talent is just as good.
Yeah.
A Latin American teams, no slash. We're talking about the Dominican Republic. We'll talk about them, the DR. They had probably one of the best World Baseball Classic teams ever put on a field, ever.
Right.
And to have them lose to Puerto Rico in the semifinal round, which was epic. To have that. It's a shame that they lost their closer, and Mets lost their closer. But you see that a lot. You see people saying it's a exhibition tournament and it doesn't mean anything. These are people who, don't realize that baseball's bigger than the MLB.
Yeah.
Just like basketball's bigger than the NBA, So.
And it's not like the MLB has the biggest contracts in the world or anything, right?
I mean, they have the biggest baseball contracts, yes.
Okay.
Now, do they have the most expensive sports contracts? No, that's the English Premier League and football, soccer for all us honkies in the U.S. here. But there's some interesting stuff that happened in the World Baseball Classic I'd like to take a second to talk about. Randy Arozarena. Do you know this guy? Played for Mexico, right? He's not Mexican. He is from Cuba. He was so poor in Cuba. He played on the highest professional league that he could in Cuba, making $40 a month. as a Cuban-born player. And he was the top-paid player there. And he was so poor that when he defected and got to Mexico and started playing for teams in Mexico, he had to borrow cleats, borrow gloves.
No way.
To even audition, to even try out for the team. And, of course, the rest is history. He made a team in Mexico, got discovered, and then went on to have one of the most clutch 2020 World Series for a rookie ever seen in baseball history.
That's crazy, huh?
Hit like crazy. But he actually he had such a good, his whole family lives in Mexico now, and he had such a good time, while in his time there, he actually, on his Instagram, called out the Mexican president and said, hey, you let me be a citizen, you give me citizenship, I will play for your team in the World Baseball Classic. And the president of Mexico did it.
Sure as hell.
Yeah,
That's
that is
crazy.
how important that is to. Do you see a U.S. president granting somebody citizenship so they can play for the world?
Not a
play in the
chance.
World Baseball. No,
Not a
absolutely.
chance. Yeah.
Do you know who Martin Schneider is?
No, sir.
Shortstop and pitcher for the Czech Republic team.
That's freaking awesome.
He's a firefighter by trade. He missed 1 out of the 3 games for the Czech Republic due to the fact that he was just coming off a 24-hour shift as a firefighter. So he wasn't able to play. Arnost Dubovoy, and he's a high school geography teacher. The favorite one of all is Ondrej Satoria. He's a pitcher for the team, the Czech Republic team. And he struck out Shohei Ohtani on 3 straight pitches. None of them broke 90 miles an hour.
That's probably why.
And so when he struck him out, Shohei Ohtani found him and signed an autograph for him and did a photo op for him. But yeah, you're an electrician from the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic's just like, you're going to play for the World Baseball team. You're going to play for the World Baseball team.
They did have a few
They were
MLB
straight
players.
Oprah.
Yeah, they had a few MLB players, and some of them played in the minor leagues. But you have one like Daniel Varvusa. He was a baseball equipment importer for the Czech Republic. You have one who's an art auditor, electrician, magazine moderator, woodworker, former Philly and Pirates farmhand who now works in real estate, was a pitcher and played outfield. They just put together a team of average Joes to compete in the World Baseball Classic. Not well. No. To me, a lot of people are calling the tournament to be canceled. I think that's a mistake. I think this is just going to get bigger and bigger. Record numbers in viewership, attendance, and fantastic.
I tuned in. First time I've seen the World Baseball Classic, and it was good. It was really good. If you missed it, I'm telling you, go back and watch the highlights. Some of these games were awesome. If you're even a remote baseball fan, I'm telling you, this stuff is good. These guys are out there giving everything they have. You can tell they're playing with heart for their country. It was really entertaining. Yeah,
go and watch the Dominican Republic versus Puerto Rico.
That was the game. That was the game to watch.
Yeah, that game was the one that, for those two teams, that's like slugging, for Puerto Rico to beat the Dominican Republic. That game was more important to them than them winning the World Series or even them winning the whole thing.
Yeah, don't watch the USA versus Japan game because spoiler alert, you're going to get your heart broken if you're a USA fan.
I don't know, man. I thought
it was a great game. It was
really
a great game. All the way down to the last,
write that story
very
better.
last play, dude.
You cannot write it better. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs. Mike Trout the dish being pitched against Shohei Ohtani, the best athlete of our generation. Yes, all sports at me. Versus the best position player in baseball in our generation, which is Mike Trout, going head to head. They're teammates. You couldn't have scripted that better.
Yeah.
It did suck that Mike Trout couldn't catch up to the fastball, but
So did you see the stat on his missing 3 times in a row?
No.
Okay, so Mike Trout has had 6,174 big league plate appearances.
Okay.
Only 24 times has he missed 3 strikes in a row. That is good for 0.38%, less than 1%.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. And he happens to miss 2 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and then the nastiest slider that if you don't swing at, you strike out watching.
Yeah, you saw that pitch come by. If that's a fastball, he's way behind.
Yeah.
He saw the ball come out of the hand, and he's like, oh, that's a slider. I just got to get some wood on it, foul it off, and then get myself to another pitch.
He was in trouble.
A 3-2 count, bottom of the 9th, 2 out,
He was betting fastball, man.
Yeah,
that's exactly
I would have too. You don't
he just threw 2 past you.
Yeah. you don't want to walk him,
Yeah.
because you got a murderer's row coming right behind you. You got Paul Goldschmidt, you got Kyle Schwarber, you've got JT Realmuto was pitching in that game.
Not to mention the momentum swing if Trout goes to first changes the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Now the tying runs at the plate. It gets crazy from there.
The winning runs at the plate. Tying runs on first.
Oh, because they only lost by 1.
Yeah, they only lost by 1.
Okay.
It's 3-2. Which kind of brings me back to my whole point there is that, we were so much in our way. None of our pitchers showed up, and the ones that did, weren't our best. And they were told to basically not try.
Yeah.
And the players did their best to be like, just ignore that. Use me as you want to use me. I'll pay the fine, whatever they want. And honestly, there was less injuries in the World Baseball Classic this year than there were in spring training.
Right.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah. Well, they're out there having fun. They're playing. I don't know. I can't wait to watch it again.
Oh, yeah. Last feel-good story on the World Baseball Classic, then I promise we'll stop talking baseball. Did you hear about Duque Herbert?
No.
Okay, so Duque Herbert is a pitcher for the Nicaraguan team.
Okay.
Right? Just a small, scrawny little guy goes out there and just throws it, just pitches like out of his mind.
Can just get it, huh?
He just go outs and gets it. And they were playing against the Dominican Republic. He struck out Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Rafael Devers. Those are 3 all-stars. One of them is a perennial MVP candidate in Juan Soto. Julio Rodriguez was Rookie of the Year and an All-Star. And Rafael Devers is one of the best shortstops in baseball, also an All-Star. Struck all 3 of them out in the 9th inning to win and to end the game. But they did lose. But he didn't actually make it out of the stadium before a scout from the Detroit Tigers asked him if he would like to play for him.
That's so awesome.
So he got a contract offer.
Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Nice job, Duque. Good job. Go get it. So a little bit of talk we have on the MLB. Have you heard the latest about Trevor Bauer?
I have. I saw the Y video.
Okay.
I like it, man. Mm-hmm. I like it. I think it's and for you guys tuning in, if you haven't seen it, go follow. What's the channel that it's on?
Momentum.
Yeah,
it's his YouTube channel.
Check it out. It goes in and talks about how he had spent some time in Japan in college baseball, and he had it on his bucket list how he wanted to go play national, or he wanted to go play professionally. If he got to that point, he wanted to play in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool to kind of see some of his backstory, and I definitely like that he has his platform to kind of tell his side without the media getting to tweak, and cut and clip his side of the story. He gets to kind of put it out there and say, look, this is actually like why I'm here. Mm-hmm. We know there's a little bit of backstory to it. Obviously, there might have been an MLB team to sign him, but this is probably his best way to get back into the league.
Yeah.
Being a former Cy Young winner, we know the guy can pitch. We know the guy can play.
Mm-hmm.
But is he going to keep his nose clean long enough to get back into the league and be productive and just be a baseball player rather than a show for, all of this media to take on?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great way that he did it. He explained why, because he even said in his own video about, you've obviously heard that I have signed a contract with Japan. I really like that he talked about, being a bucket list thing. To think that this is the reason why he chose because he wanted to play in Japan, I don't think so. I just don't think there was a major league team that was going to offer him a contract right now.
Really going to take the chance.
Yeah, it's just, it's not even the with the suspension and all the backlash you're going to get on that. Just, he's not well loved in the locker room, and his vlogging from the locker room, and and his off the field antics on, getting in Twitter fights and cutting his hand on a drone when he's supposed to be pitching. And throwing a ball over the center field wall because the pitcher pulls him out. He does rub teammates and coaches the wrong way. So I think if he spends a year in Japan and understands the whole mantra of what they have over there of, community and balance and harmony over your self-interest, if he learns some of that and absorbs some of that, do I think he'll pitch in the major leagues? Absolutely. Do I think it's as early as next season? Possibly. It's a 1-year, $4 million deal. I think
interesting.
If he keeps his nose clean, comes back, I think he's perfectly capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't know Trevor Bauer, who thinks it's kind of weird that he's going to play in Japan, if you ever looked at his Twitter handle, he actually has his name in Japanese characters after his name, and it's been that way for years.
Really?
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool, actually.
Kind of speaks to his wanting to do that. So, another news that we talked about before, if you haven't, we talked about Corbin Burns. Have you heard the latest about Corbin Burns?
I haven't seen anything else.
So, go back and we'll link it somewhere here, pin it in somewhere in here of the previous episode there, where we talked about Corbin Burns and his arbitration case.
Yep.
How bad it was. So it's gotten worse. So he is under team control for 2 more seasons, this year and next year. But he actually fired his agent and now has hired Scott Boras to be his agent. Now, it's okay if you don't know who Scott Boras is, but the majority of MLB teams do not like working with Scott Boras. If you have your homegrown talent and his agency is Scott Boras, that kid is leaving for free agency. That guy is known to be the most successful agent in professional sports, period. He gets all of his top level talent overpaid. Like, that's just what he does. So any fans of Milwaukee, Brewer fans out there that were hoping that you guys were going to re-sign Corbin Burns, he just basically threw down the hammer and said, look, I'm not coming back here. You're not re-signing me.
Not happening.
So you're more likely, he's probably going to be traded at the deadline if the Brewers aren't in it. And once next year's over, he's definitely going to be gone because Scott Boras doesn't mess around. So
gotcha.
And which actually takes my Dodgers out of the running because they don't like working with Scott Boras. So
do you blame
him?
If you're gonna grossly overpay every time he represents one of these athletes?
Yeah. Well, that's the problem is our top pitcher, his name's Julio Urias. He's actually coming up for free agency at the end of this season, and his agent is Scott Boras.
Of course it is.
So, yeah. Anyway, just another follow-up on that video, on the of the story we talked about before about Corbin Burns. So, just want to give you an update on that as well. Once again, folks, this is a podcast, so if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to see the full video. Sorry, not the full video, but be sure to see if you want to hear the full episode in its entirety, be sure to look us up wherever you find your podcasts. We're available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Amazon as well, underneath DNA Sports Recap.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe. We love interacting with you guys. We appreciate the notes, all the fact checks. Keep doing it. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Also, give us a review if you're listening to on the podcast. If you like the podcast, you want to see our beautiful faces, be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. But yeah, once again, appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Till next time.